Hello punters and welcome to a Saturday racing preview. Of course, in this video looking at the Randwick meeting, a 10 race program with the Everest as the feature of the meeting. Now, if you've already done so, go and check out, I've got a runner by runner guide on each runner in the Everest. It's obviously a terrific sprint race, one of the best, if not the best in the country right now. Every single year. For me, it just assembles the best horses, and that's what we love to see for great prize money as well, of course, being the richest race on turf. So we're going to get straight into this meeting here, a 10 race program, good forward track. I think there is some rain scheduled. You can let me know on that if you guys know in Sydney, any New South Wales people watching this video. But as far as I saw the forecast, I believe that it's going to be later in the day. So there's a good chance that the track won't be affected by the rain. But you guys can let me know down below. But regardless, I have worked with a good forward track. So I hope that doesn't come back to bite me. That's how I see it at the moment now. We're going to look at the 10 race program, get straight into the first look. Obviously, a fair few debutants in this race here. Obviously, Kalishnikov is the only exposed form with this as a starter in its previous run, and I've got to stick with it because I have seen it. Obviously, was a tough run last time out. It just didn't really seem to get into it, but it was pretty well backed. Obviously, it was the favourite in the race, drifted out a little bit late, but I think this horse got a lot of ability. Stepping out of the Breeders' Plate, this looks to be a little bit easier than that race there, and obviously having the run of the belt does read nicely at the $3.90. Look, I'm not over keen to play this first race, but look, Emerald Bay is probably the other one that I didn't mind. I really liked its trial leading into this. Looked to be pretty sharp at Randwick, so I think that it could show some nice improvement off that and should be leading, I suggest, be right up towards the pace. From barrier number 9, and should be able to stick on for a long way. Number 7, Montana Flash, looks to be a pretty nice debutant as well. I think this horse cost $550,000, so pretty expensive horse. Although I guess in these type of times that it's almost the norm, to be honest, with some of the figures that we do see for horses. But looks to be pretty well bred, obviously being by Star Turn and out of Dukamore, and so it's a really interesting type of breeding. I'm really keen to see how this colt goes tomorrow, and he obviously is drawn really well, which often in these type of races can be the key. So he goes in for third. And then the other one I didn't mind either was number 10, She's All Class, who I've heard a really strong push from Chris Waller on this horse here. It cost $200,000 at the sales, and its trial recently was quite strong as well, and being by him, Invincible, have plenty of pace and looks pretty well drawn from barrier number 3 as well. So really good race to open the program, and very tough one as well. I don't think I'll be playing in this first race. Number 6, Kalishnikov, goes on top simply because of the exposed form for me. Then in for second, I've got number 8, Emerald Boy. And for third, number 7, Montana Flash, who I thought was good each way value considering the barrier draw. And then in for fourth, I've got number 10, She's All Class. Moving on to race number 2 over the 1100 metres. We've got the Tab Highway Handicap. Obviously got the Kosciuszko later on the program for some of the highway runners that we've seen over the last few weeks. But this one's over 1100 metres, and look at the speed map here. I suggest that there should be plenty of paces you could come to expect in highway races. Talaki, Galaxy Force, Pedway, Empress Star, Emelet. I think Toto might even roll forward from barrier number 15. So I'm expecting a ton of pace in this race here, and should set up nicely for some of these horses back in the field. And one of them is going to be Tchaikovsky, who obviously was a really expensive buy and used to be with the Snowdens, and now in the hands of John Dubois. And I just think this horse is over the odds here. I think if it can get any type of luck sort of off the pace and is able to run into it, I think it can be right in the finish. So I'm going to have it on top. I think it's over the odds for me for $31, especially with all the speed on. In race number 2, I am keen on number 17, in for second, number 17, Crackneck, who has gone pretty close. Second last time out to It's Me, reads really well. Obviously, It's Me, the dominant favourite in the Kosciuszko later on in the program. So that form reads nicely. So Crackneck got to be given a good chance at $7. So it goes in for second. In for third, I've got number 18, Talake, who's coming into this first up, and I think can run well first up as well. I think this horse is well over the odds at $41. So I'll be thinking each way play, and it could be a good bet. Looks to get a good run in the race for barrier number 6. And then in for fourth, I've got a bit of a throw at the stumps, number 6, Depth That Varies, who just got to overcome that barrier number 20. If it can do that, it should be able to run nicely for me here. And obviously, the win last start at Scone was a nice one. Won by only the barest of margins being Bell Reeve on that occasion, but I like that first up performance. I think it could show some improvement second up. Again, look, not really a race that I'm overly keen on, but I might have something each way on number 4, Tchaikovsky at the $31, and also Taliki at the $41. They look to be two good horses at value. In for third, I've got second, I've got number 17, Crackneck. Third, number 18, Taliki. I will be having something small each way on as well. And then in for fourth, I've got number 6, Depth That Varies. In for third, I've race number 3, the Star Mile over 1,600 metres. Really good. This race looks quite an interesting one actually on paper. Just thinking, I think from the outside barrier, probably look to roll across. Missy Beale and Purple Sector probably won't be too far away either. Looks like Elvis will probably just sit not far behind them there. And look, I'm keen to go with, looks like Elvis here. I think this horse going to get a perfect run in the race, and should be pretty hard to beat here for me. I liked its fifth last start behind Probabile and Fun Stars, so that obviously that's the elite form for me. Those two horses have come out and franked the form since, obviously in the Epsom. So for me, I've got to follow that one in, and that looks to be the strong form of the race. The third prior to that was behind I Am Superman and Rio Dini, who I Am Superman, obviously a pretty smart horse in its own right, and Rio Dini is as well. So looks like Elvis looks to be a really good bet for me, and this one at the $7, I can take it with a bit of confidence, so it goes on top for me. Ahead of number 2, Just Thinking, who should be rolling along in the pace on its own, just doing its own thing, give them something to catch. So I think it's got to be given a chance, considering it'll be right up there on the pace. In for third, I've got number 5, Lure Me In, who I think obviously was a terrific win second up, and comes in this third up, which it hasn't performed that well third up. So that's my only little query. 4 starts for just the one placing, and interestingly, James McDonald has jumped off this horse as well. He isn't riding anything else in the race, but he has jumped off Lure Me In. He did ride it last time out, so just a little interesting query there for me. Then in for fourth, I've got number 10, Opacity. It was pretty disappointing last time out, but I could see it bouncing back as well on this occasion. And Purple Sector obviously ran really well first up for a second at Rosehill behind Prime Candidate. I think can show some good improvement second up, although its second up form is not the best. I still think that down the weights it could be right in the finish there, but 480 is a little bit short for me there. Look, I'm very keen to go number 1. Looks like Elvis here in the third on the program. Ahead of number 2, Just Thinking. I think they're two good each way plays, but I will be having my main bet with Looks Like Elvis. It looks to be the one to beat for me. In for third, I've got number 5, Lure Me In. Then in for fourth, I've got number 10, Opacity. Move on to race number 4 on the program now. We've got the Reginald Allen Quality. Look at the speed map here for this race. So I'd suggest that Eliza Beale and Forbidden Love will probably try to look to lead them up. Only Mine won't be too far away. Darling Diamond, Nicky's Fling, Joviality, they probably won't be too far away from the speed. I don't see them challenging for the lead, but they probably won't be too far away either. Look, I'm keen to go number 11, Newsreader here with Glenn Boss on the saddle at $16. I think this horse is a really good price. Obviously still a maiden, but has had 3 placings so far in its career. It's third last time out to Private Cheetah and a Sifa. It was quite good. The third prior that to Niki and Asamu reads quite nicely. Asamu goes round as a favourite at Caulfield, a strong race there. So I think that this horse is just over the odds here. Looks to get a perfect run in the race. Hopefully there's plenty of tempo and just gets that little bit of luck, and it should be able to finish over the top of them for me. So it goes on top at the $16. I think it's a great price. Ahead of number 1, Forbidden Love, who's got the best form in the race. Obviously a third last start behind Wild Rule, and Destination reads well. Wild Rule, of course, coming out last week and winning again in the Group 2 race there, the Roman Consul. So that form's been franked, and obviously this horse is going to have really strong claims off the back of that. Number 3, Time Is Precious, looks well over the odds here with Josh Parr in the saddle. A pretty decent run first up, was back in the field, but I think this horse will improve off that first up run, and getting out to 400 metres looks to suit nicely. Second up, so I expect some improvement from it at $23. And the other horse I didn't mind either was number 4, Eliza Beale, who's been really good this preparation, always shown plenty of ability, this filly, and she's looked to be clicking for her now, and she's running much better races. And this obviously is tougher. She's coming back into city grade again, but I expect her to handle herself nicely. Number 9, Only Mine, was really good, winning last start at Warwick Farm. Can expect it to show some improvement as well and run well and be towards the finish again as well. But look, recap the numbers for me. I am keen with number 11, Newsreader. Looks to be the one to beat for me, and I think $16 is a great price despite it being a maiden. I think this could be its race to win. Forbidden Love, obviously, is probably the one to beat for me at the $4.80, so probably could have something on the win for about Forbidden Love and something each way on Newsreader. That might be the way that I play it tomorrow. Forbidden Love also got the terrific form of the race and looks to get a good run towards the speed. In for third, I've got number 3, Timeless Precious, so I also thought was well over the odds. Then in for fourth, number 4, Eliza Beale. Moving on to race number 5 now. It is the Kosciuszko. Really looking forward to this. It's always a terrific race, and it's a terrific idea as well. I really love the concept of it, to give some of these horses from the country trainers a chance to win big prize money on a feature race day such as the Everest. So I think that's terrific, and I'm really looking forward to it. Look at the speed map. I think Fender and Man of Peace will be up towards the speed. Ice in Vancouver won't be too far off the pace either. And I think that two big Fari will probably be towards the speed also. They'll be the main speed factors in the race. Now, I'm going to go with Fender. I think this horse looks to read really well for this here. Obviously, first up win at Scone was nice. At Rose Hill over 1,200 metres on a heavy track was a nice win there. Then last start came out behind Wild Planet and Fun Star and finished 7th, and that run was back on the 12th of September. So been a bit of a gap between runs there, but I mean that form race is as good as any for this here, and I think that breeds really nicely, and I think it run well third up here. It's been prepped for this. 5 starts for 4 wins. Obviously, last start's performance was its only, I guess, run outside the top 3. I was going to say poor run, but it wasn't a poor run. Only 2.7 lengths off Wild Planet. And then Fun Star, who, Fun Star's a Group 1 winner, and Wild Planet obviously has been right up there in group competitive race as well, and I expect it to be one of the better chances in one of the feature races at Caulfield tomorrow as well. So Fender goes on top for me with a bit of confidence, ahead of number 14, It's Me, who obviously this horse got a lot of ability, a lot of talent, she knows how to win, but 220 in a big race like this, it just seems a bit short, so I'm going to go against her, but I do respect her a lot, so she goes for second. In for third, I've got number 4, Intuition, who I think could run a bit of a bolter first up here for Kurt Goldman. Obviously, horse formerly with James Cummings and Godolphin, and doesn't usually run too well first up, but here at the Track and Distance had 2 starts for 2 wins, so I'm really interested in that. And the fact that it's probably the easiest type of race it's raced in some time. It's finished around the likes of Jungle Edge on a heavy track, I Am Someone, and Prezado at Flemington up the straight there, and the trial leading him for the new trainer has been quite good. That was behind Guitry and Ramstein on that occasion where it trialled there. Just needs a little bit of luck in the race, and it should be in the finish. Number 6, Man of Peace, is the horse I'm going to go in for fourth. Now, this horse is just a model of consistency. You can take this. The fact this horse is 370 the place looks a terrific bet for me, and even $13 a win looks a nice price. I mean, this horse doesn't know how to run a bad race, and for me, I expect to be right in the finish, fighting it out, looking to lead all the way. Almaha is probably another one I give a good chance to, and Ice in Vancouver is probably another one I don't mind at a bit of each way value as well. But look, to recap the numbers, I am really keen on number 11, Fender. I think this is its race, and it's going to be the one to beat. And at number 14, It's Me, who I have plenty of respect for. I just think it's a bit short at $2.20 in the market. If a third, I've got number 6, Man of Peace. No, I don't. No, number 4, Intuition, and then if for fourth, number 6, Man of Peace. Moving on to race number 6 now, we've got the Sydney Stakes over 1,200 metres. A couple of these horses, obviously, were emergencies for the Everest. Look at the speed map. Orothea and Prime Candidate after the inside 2 barriers, I think, will be up leading towards the pace. Adelong won't be too far away, and Special Reward will probably be somewhere around the mark as well. Look, really interesting race, this one here, and I landed with number 3, Tactical Advantage. I think this horse is great value at $20 here. Really good horse that runs well third up. Its career's best performance has come third up in its preparation. 6 starts for 4 wins third up. Comes to Randwick, obviously runs well here usually. So 10 starts for 3 wins and 2 placings. So 50% of the time it's in the top 3. Last start was an 8th over the 1,100 metres behind Classique Legend Eduardo. I mean, for me, that's the premier form, and I'm willing to stick with that. And I think $20 is just massively over the odds about this horse, so it goes on top for me. I have number 1, Deprive, who I expect to run much better second up here. That was a really eye-catching run behind Libertine and Classique Legend. She was the best Sorry, he was the best of the rest in the Premier there on that occasion, and he loves running here at Randwick. So 10 starts at the track for 6 wins and a placing, and he obviously second up form is really not good as well. And I expect him to be right at the finish at $2.90. He's the one to beat for me, but I just thought Tactical Advantage is a bit of value at the each way price. Number 4, Standout. I expect this horse to potentially bounce back, but couldn't really take it as a betting perspective. He's done a couple of things wrong so far this preparation. I thought his first up run was okay behind Classic Legend Eduardo, but then last start he was quite disappointing, although he was cutting at Nature Strip, and those two were really doing a bit of a speed battle for the early parts of the race. You can possibly forgive that. If he can bounce back and return to his former form, we saw him beat Elite Say in last prep. I think he can run well enough here. Look, Adelong also looks over the odds here. I mean, gee, this horse has had a couple of bad runs. All of a sudden, it's been written off a little bit at $23. I mean, this horse gets back out to the 1,200 metres. I think will suit nicely. Stepped out at 1,400 metres behind St. Peter and Emeralds last time out. Ran a bit of a disappointing race there, but I just think that this horse can bounce back pretty easily. I mean, its run behind Hawkbury on her and Jen Rules was really good. I love that run there on that occasion. So stepping back to the 1,200 metres, James McDonald on, really well drawn, looks to get a good run in the race. So I think 23 is well over the odds for me as well. So I'm going to have 2 each way bets here. I'm going to have Adelong and Special Advantage here, but I'm very interested in Deprive. Obviously looks really hard to beat. So recap the numbers. Number 3, Tactical Advantage on top for me. I just thought it was great value at the $20. So it goes on top. And number 1, Deprive, who I'm really obviously scared of, and I think this horse got a lot of ability and looks pretty hard to beat tomorrow. So, but $2.90 is just probably the right price, but just for me, I tend to like to go for a little bit of value at times, unless I'm 100% confident on the horses at those type of odds. So it goes in for second. In for third, number 4, Standout. Then in for fourth, I've got number 11, Adelong. Other chance in the race, obviously, Prime Canada. He's been in terrific form, and you take him in an each way basis with a bit of confidence as well. Trumble's got a terrific first up record, 5 starts for 3 wins and 2 placings. So as a $12 shot, it looks to have a bit of appeal as well. You know, probably the others I don't really see troubling too much personally in this race here. They look to be the main ones. Obviously, a Special Reward. I left Special Reward out, but I just didn't really like the draw. I thought it's a bit of a tough draw. If it can get a slot, it should be in the finish, but I just thought that barrier draw looks to be a little bit tricky at the way the race maps out. And at $6, I prefer to go with a couple others at a bit better odds. Race number 7, it is the Tab Everest, obviously over 1,200 metres. Terrific race, and really looking forward to this. I love it. I've always been a massive fan of this concept. Bringing together some of the best sprinters, if not all the best sprinters in the country. There's so many little different form lines, horses from different states. It's always a lot of interest. Obviously, I have already gone over this race in depth, so I'm going to roll through it as quickly as possible, because some of you probably would have already seen that Everest runner-by-runner guide into this race here. So recapping just really quickly, for those that haven't watched it, Nature Strip and Hawkbury on her dollar for dollar, they have to be the main speed factors in barriers 1, 3 and 5. And I think Eduardo will try and push on towards the pace as well, but a really tricky barrier for it. Look, my on top selections haven't really changed from when I put out that video this morning. Number 3, Classic Legend, goes on top for me. I've always been keen on this horse ever since last year's Everest. I thought he was going to improve in time, and he would come back better this year, and he looks to have done so. I loved his run last time out behind Libertini. Obviously, that was a really he toughed it out there on that occasion. He was wide, and he had to do a bit of work, and obviously they set up nicely for Libertini to finish over the top of him. So I think with a better run in transit here on this occasion, he's well prepped, third up, rock hard fit. He looks to be the one to beat here for me, but I'm very worried about Nature Strip. This is the type of race that he can bounce back and win. He's been a little bit disappointing, especially last start, but he had breathing issues, so you can forgive that. His first up, he just went way. He was sort of outside the lead. Didn't really look to settle in that run on that occasion there. So I've got 2 forgive runs for his first 2 efforts, and even still that first up run, he still ran okay considering you know, that he didn't really seem to settle in the run on that occasion, sitting outside the lead rather than leading them up. My only little query with him is that obviously there'll be a few of these that will probably want to take him on in the race for the speed. We often do see him come unstuck when he gets challenged for the lead, like we saw last week. Sorry, not last week, last start, when he had Standout cutting at him. Obviously, he had a few breathing issues, but then the start prior as well, he also had another horse take him on for the lead. So he doesn't seem to win unless he gets the lead and dictates the race, and then is able to cruise under his own steam. But in saying that, he's terrific third up. He's got got 5 starts for 4 wins, third up, and I think he's been well prepped for this. Obviously, it's been his target race for some time, and Chris Waller knows how to switch him on for grand final day, and it's what he seems to do. He seems to get rolled at the short odds of the odds on, or the $2, $2.40. And he comes out bigger odds. He's 480 tomorrow, and he can win. So that wouldn't surprise me by any stretch of the imagination. Bivouac's my third selection. I think this horse has been really well prepped for this. I love that the first up run behind Cacique Legend Eduardo's have been spelled since then. And well, not spelled, but it's been given a bit of a rest since then. It's had nearly a month off the track. And I really like this. Just had the trial in between. The trial was really impressive. Glenn Boss jumps on last year's Everest winner. This horse has got a terrific second up form. If we get that rain later in the day, my confidence in this horse will grow even more. It's now $11, so it has come in since I talked about it this morning when it was at $13. So there has been a bit of a spec for it. Hopefully some of you out there have done it, because I am going to be putting something each way on him as well. I think that he'll be running a top race tomorrow. I think there's a lot to the fact that Godolphin picked him as their slot over Trekking. I keep saying that, you know, obviously James Cummings is confident they'll both run well, as am I. I think that Trekking can run a great race as well, and he's over the odds considering what his form is and some of his Group 1 wins. But for me, the fact that he's just seemed to have had that bit more of glow in his voice and the way that he speaks. Sometimes that's how you got to look at it. Sometimes you got to just get a gauge into how genuine what they're saying is sometimes, because sometimes trainers can have a bit more optimism overtake confidence, whereas for me, James Cummings seems to have the right level of optimism and confidence in this horse, and I think it can run well. Obviously, the new market winner, I'll be right at the finish. Number 7, Guitra is my 4th selection. This horse never knows how to run a bad race. Had 20 starts for 9 wins and 10 placings, so really elite stuff, and I think he'll be right at the finish as well. Other chances, look, I mentioned it in my video, I think Libertini, if she can get a slot, she can run well again. Eduardo's probably the bolter. Santana Lane, I've got to have something each way on him tomorrow, more than likely, especially if the rain comes. I think that'll suit him nicely, that bit of toe out of the ground. Comes back to Randwick, a track that last time he ran here over 1,200 metres, he was second at a TJ Smith. So if you can find that sort of form again, he will go very close to winning this, and he's $23. And I know that this is the type of price he usually pops up and wins at. I know from when I backed him at the Goodwood, I call it as one of my greatest successes on the punt. I had a good going in that day, and he got up at the big odds, and I've loved him ever since. And Trekking, obviously, as well, has to be given a chance. Behemoth's in terrific form. They look to be the main ones for me, though. But look, recap the numbers. I am counting number 3, Classique Legend on top. Ahead of number 1, Nate Strip for second. In for third, and I've got number 6, Bivouac. Then in for fourth, number 7, Guitra. Moving on to race number 8 now. We've got the Craven Plate over 2,000 metres. Look at the speed map here. I was just to think it over, and Contessa are probably the likely leaders here. Rondinello and Candyman are probably sit not far off them, with Star of the Seas and Morden's Fork probably settling midfield. Star of the Seas is very short here, but this looks to be his race. If he doesn't win this race, I'm not sure when he'll win a race. Just kidding, but you know, you know me, I don't usually go these $2.10 favourites, but this looks to be his race, stepping down in grade. I think if he can't win this tomorrow, he'll really have to reevaluate what he does with him, Chris Waller, because he's running Group 1 races. His 2 first up runs were superb behind Colding, especially the 1-2 back. I was really impressed with that performance over 600 metres. He was obviously disappointing in the Epsom, but he gets out of the 2,000 metres here, which I think will really suit him nicely. It's quite surprising he's never got out in trip here. He's bred to get out in trip, and he's bred to handle the wet conditions if we get that tomorrow as well. But even if we're on a dry track, I think he'll run well either way, and he looks the one to beat. He goes on top for me with a fair bit of confidence. So he's on top. Ahead of number 3, the Candyman, who I think can bounce back, obviously. Ran behind Probably a Fun Star last start in the Epsom. So similarly, stepping out 2,000 metres. This horse hasn't performed well over 2,000 metres, so I'm a little bit interested to see how he can go first up. But he's got a lot of ability, and we know, obviously, with Peter and Paul Snowden, formerly with Barry Baldwin in Queensland, that he does have a lot of ability, and he could run a good race on his day. So he goes in for third. In for fourth, number 11, Vanna Girl, who I'm interested to see what this horse can do up to 2,000 metres for the first time now. It's come down to Sydney and not performed well in comparison to what it did during the Queensland Carnival, but it can rediscover that type of form. It could be right at the finish here and strikes a pretty winnable race, so it goes in for third. Then in for fourth, I've got number 7, Think It Over, who not really a lot of confidence here. This horse has had its chances on multiple occasions, but the 5th last time out, weight for age level behind Colding and Avilius reads relatively nicely, and unlike some of these other horses, it does have exposed form over the 2,000 metres. meters. Scarlet Dream third up could run well here, I think, as well. So it's going to be, it's not my numbers, but I do think it could run a nice race. And Quintessa, obviously, I was keen on last week, and comes in on the 7-day backup, which is obviously quite interesting, and has run well over the 2,000 metres as it did last start. It looked to be a good winning chance until it was just narrowly overcome late. But look, this looks the race for number 2 Star of the Seas here. I think that he should just be winning this race, and if he can't, then yeah, they'll have to reevaluate where they go with him, because this looks to be a race that's far, far easier than what he's faced previously. And I think that if he can just rediscover the type of form he had before his last start disappointment in the Epsom Derby, he can, sorry, not the Epsom Derby, the Epsom, he should run really well. So he goes on top for me. I have number 3, the Candyman. In for second, in for third, I've got number 11, Vanna Girl. Then in for fourth, number 7, Think It Over. Move on to race number 9 on the program now, and we've got over 2,600 metres, the St Ledger Stakes, of course. And look at the speed map here. It's just a fun fact, and Wu Gok will be the 2 leaders of the race. Brim Rocks and Norway will probably not be far away from them in the race there. And She's Ideal will probably drop back towards the field. Really interesting race here, and a bit of a tough one to split these. Some really differing form lines. So I've gone with Brim and Rocks. I think this horse can just improve getting out to that 2,600 metres. It was the run last up behind Mirage Dancer and Mugger 2 reads pretty nicely, albeit it wasn't anything flash, but it ran okay there on that occasion. I think that Chris Waller and James McDonald, lethal combination, got to go with it. So he goes on top for me without a massive amount of confidence. Number 7, Paths of Glory, looks to be, obviously comes out of that same race. Was only beat Brim Rocks by, what was it, 0.4 of a length, and there's obviously not a lot between them in the market either. So I think that's pretty fair. They look to be the 2 to beat. Attorney looks to be building pretty nicely. I'm keen to see how this horse can go fourth up here. Obviously, the last start win was pretty good over the 2,400 metres, so I'm expecting it to run well again. And then Fun Fact will be doing its own thing in the lead, and should be able to lead them up for a long way. After 2,600 metres for the first time, obviously a little bit of a career as it is for many of these horses, but She's Ideal off the 7-day backup. Obviously got to be given a chance. Is bred to get out to this trip, but obviously want to see how she goes first up, as it is the case with a few of these. And Wu Gok comes into things, I think, if we get that little bit more rain in the track, but he's generally a heavy tracker, or he doesn't really run too well. But recap the numbers for me. I've gone with number 2, Brim Rocks. Look, it's a tough race, but there's not a whole lot of chances either. So, I mean, you could easily take some of these horses and back them with the confidence that, I only really see 4 main winning chances in this, and probably just the 3, if I'm honest, as well. And Path Score is one of those other ones, obviously. Goes in for second. In for third, number 3, Attorney. Then in for fourth, I've got number 5, Fun Fact. Moving on to the final race of the program, race number 10, over a benchmark 78 over 1,400 metres. Look at the speed map here. I suggest that Best Stoner will lead them up. Dream Circle and No Escape won't be far away. Esteemed Spirits and Julian Rock will be somewhere in behind the pace there. Look, I think Best Stone can run well here. I think that it was a good win last time out. Obviously, a bit of a weight swing. It beat Mirror Vision on that occasion. Best Stone goes up a kilo while Mirror Vision goes down a kilo. So there's a bit of a 2 kilo weight swing in the favour of Mirror Vision. But the way I see this race panning out, I think that Best Stone's just going to get a perfect run on the speed, and should be right in the finish there once again. Dream Circle is a horse that I'm keen to have probably something each way on, as well as Best Stone. This horse comes in this third up. It was due to go around during the week, I believe, or maybe it was on a Sunday. Anyway, its last run was 11 days ago in that Best Stone Mirror Vision race. It meets him again, far better at the weights as well. It carried 54.5 on that occasion, comes down to 54. So only a slight drop in the weights, but I think it improved coming to this third up, and should be able to run a good race. Other chances in the race, obviously Mirror Vision, got to give it a chance based off what I've said. And number 4, Dancing Gidget's the other one here. But look, not overly confident in this last race either. But number 3, Best Stone, goes on top ahead of number 6. Ahead of number 14, Dream Circle. In for second. In for third, number 6, Mirror Vision. Then in for fourth, I've got number 1, Dancing Gidget. Look, other one I did want to mention was number 10, Cyber Intervention for Kerry Parker. I think this horse can run well off its first up performance, stepping out and trip a little bit from the, not stepping out and trip, just coming into its second up, but Second up form isn't great though, so a little bit of a query there, but $20 does look a bit over the odds. And Bright Kubrick, I think we'll be surprised this horse can run well. Third up coming into the 1400 metres. It's run last start over 1250 metres behind Best Zone, Mirror Vision. Reads pretty well, comes down a kilo, which will suit it nicely as well. But recapping the best bets of the program. So, best bets of the program. Look, I'm going to go into the Everest, and here's number 3, Classique Legend. I think this horse has been well prepped for this, and obviously it's a bit bold to go the best bet in a race as deep and as good as this in the Everest, but I'm very confident Classique Legend can win this race. So it's my best bet of the program. Ahead of, I hate to do it, but in race number 8, number 2, Star of the Seas, for me just looks to be a terrific bet in the race. You can really put it into a multi with something else, potentially, if you want those bigger odds. I think this horse is a lock to win that race there, and should be extremely hard to beat, so it's one of my other best bets of the program. Best value bets, race number 6, number 3, Tactical Advantage, very keen on it at $20. I think it's got a good chance of the Sydney Stakes. Then the other one I didn't mind as well is in race number 3, and it is number 1, looks like Elvis at good odds. Look, now I'm going to be putting the Quaddie selections in the description, so check that out down below if you want to follow along with a Quaddie, or perhaps you're thinking of putting one on tomorrow and just interested into what I go with and what sort of horses I'm looking to put into mine, and you can help. Hopefully that can help you out, or I guess take any of you that are interested in it. So thank you for tuning into this video. Like I said, really appreciate it as always. Comment down below any of your thoughts on any of the races as you go along. I'll obviously do my best to get back to those, and yeah, good luck with all the racing tomorrow. Hopefully you have plenty of winners yourselves, and you enjoy the great racing that's on tomorrow, and have a fantastic weekend. So thank you for tuning in, and yeah, thanks once again.